Hello, chess fans! This is Rick from Chess to Impress with number 89 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from David from the USA. Hello, my name is David, and here's a game I played as black online. I'm fairly inexperienced, and it was a 5-minute limit, so there are some blunders, but I think I compensated well and ended strong. Thanks for keeping up such a great channel, says David. And David played this game on chess.com. He was black, so let's look at this game from the black side. It was played against a player called SP Chiral with a rating of 919 on chess.com, and David goes under the name of James Lawrence with a rating of 1012 when this game was played. David is one of those viewers that has a different name in his email address, and he goes under a different name on chess.com, and then in his email he says David. Sometimes it's quite difficult to know who is who, and I get surprised comments from viewers saying, did you not know it was me? But then they go under 3 different names on the internet. Anyway, we call him David, and his opponents opened with e4. David played e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and bishop c5, the Italian game, the Gioco Piano. Here c3 is the main move, according to the database, but castling that white played is fine as well. Knight f6, attacking the e4 pawn, and here white played knight c3 to defend the pawn. Black castled, and now d3 is the main move, but here white corks out knight g5. You should not play with the same piece in the opening twice is one of those rules of thumb, and here it applies as well. Knight g5 has been played before, but I did not find any games between very strong players with this move. It's clear what white wants. He's attacking the f7 pawn with both the knight and the bishop, and f7 and f2 are weak points on the chessboard. White is attacking one of those weak points now. David says, I'm going to kick your knight straight away. What is your intention? Are you going to take on f7, or are you going back to f3 with your knight? White says, if you say A, you have to say B, and he takes on f7. But this is not a good version of giving 2 pieces for rook and pawn. In the opening, the rook is not that useful yet, while the bishop and the knight are strong pieces in the opening. David took back. Bishop takes check, and king takes. So black has given up rook and pawn for bishop and knight, and this is, as I said, a good version for black. Knight d5 from white, and here the best move is d6 to give bishop c8 a way out and complete development. d6 is the best move according to the engine. But David saw a pawn. The pawn on e4 is now unprotected, and David took it. But there is a tactical problem with this move. If you want to look for yourself, how can white refute this pawn grab by black? Then put the video on pause and have a look yourself. I'll give the solution now. White did not find it. He only spent 6 seconds on his next move. He played queen h5 check, but queen f3 check would have been the best move, because it's a double attack on the king and the knight, where you can say you can interpose the knight, solve 2 problems in one go. That piece is no longer hanging and the check is shielded. That is true, but then there is knight takes f6, and if you take back with the queen or with the pawn, it doesn't matter, let's take back with the queen, then there is queen d5 check, and we have another double attack, and in this case black cannot solve it and will lose a piece. King plays, and then queen takes c5, and this is a better position for white. He's now an exchange up. So all that after knight takes e4, which wins a pawn for black, but it's not a good move because of the queen f3 check, which is the refutation. Nice variation. If you found it, then you're a very good player. Queen h5 check was played by white, as I said. And now king g8 is the best move. The king is quite safe now behind its pawns, and there are enough defenders close to it. But David decided to play g6, and that is more dangerous. For starters, you can go back to f3 with check and go into that same variation, which wins a piece for white. We just saw that variation. It still works here. But white decided to take a pawn, take on h6. Knight f6. That knight was swapped. The queen took back, and queen h7 check. David interposed his queen, and the queens came off the board. We still have the same material balance, bishop and knight for rook and pawn. Black is still better. White's rooks still do not have any influence on this game. d3 seems very logical here to develop this bishop and finish development, but as we'll see in the next few moves, white commits the crime of not finishing his development. He played c3, not a bad move, but it makes a lot more sense to get that bishop into the game and connect the rooks. d5, David understands that he has to bring this bishop into play. b4, kicking the bishop dropped back, rook e1, and David develops his bishop, finishes his development. White still doesn't, plays f3 after 4 seconds. e4 from David. F takes, bishop takes, and now d4. Is white finally going to develop his bishop? Well, it will take another while. Rook f8, bringing that rook into the game. And now g3 from white. And rook f3 from David, infiltrating in white's camp and attacking the c3 pawn. But white ignores that attack. Rook e3 would have made a lot of sense to make sure the c3 pawn doesn't get lost. But white played a4. What move is that? What does that move do? Played after 8 seconds. And now David thought for a while. He thought for 15 seconds, his longest think in the game, and he played knight e7, looking for a better outpost for this piece, which is black's only bad piece on c6. And indeed, it is a good thing to do. I talked before about talking to your pieces, and if you talk to your pieces in this position, the knight on c6 will tell you that he's not happy there. He doesn't have any influence on the game, he has no squares to jump to, so you need to reroute it. But in this case, rook takes c3 would have helped a lot. That would have been a move that automatically makes this knight stronger. Suddenly it is attacking those two weak pawns, and the knight is now very happy, it will tell you. But as mentioned, knight e7 was played by David, looking for a better spot for that knight. Again, rook e3 is the best move, but white plays bishop g5. Finally, he develops his last undeveloped piece and connects his rook. Knight f5, still not taking on c3. And both players were actually racing through this game, never taking more than a few seconds to move. White played rook a2. Not sure what that move does. And now a nice shot from black. He could still have taken on c3. That pawn is still just hanging. But David found a more difficult move. He took on g3. What is that? He thought about this move for 11 seconds before making it, and it's a nice tactical shot. White took the piece, and then rook takes d3 check with a double attack, check, and that bishop on g5 is unprotected. Very nice. King f2, and now there is an even stronger move than taking the bishop, which David did. That was the purpose of this little combination. But because the king went to f2, he could have won a full rook with rook g2 check, protected by the bishop and skewering the king and the rook. King e3, rook takes a2, wins a full rook there. But rook takes g5 is good enough. Black is winning. He has two beautiful bishops and an extra pawn for the rook. Rook g1 from white. Rook f5 check. Does not want to swap rooks. King e3, rook f3 check, and king d2. And now again you can win this rook on a2 with the same skewer. Rook f2 check, king e3, and there goes that rook again. But David played a different move. He played bishop f4 check. King went to e1, and now finally that c3 pawn went off the board. Rook f2 from white, and here you can now win this rook on g1 with a similar skewer. Rook c1 check now wins that rook. King e2, and rook takes g1. White can take on f4, but this is of course a very easily winning position for black with an extra piece. The game finished differently after rook f2. David did not play rook c1 check. He played another good move, bishop e3, skewering both rooks. Here white resigned. The game could have gone on, rook g3, bishop takes f2 check, king takes. You can swap these rooks, for example, and then white would have resigned here because there's nothing else to play for, being a bishop and 2 pawns down in this endgame. So SP Kyrol resigned after bishop e3 and David had won a very nice game. Both players had about half their time left of the 5 minutes they started with. They both had about 2.5 minutes left. So this was more played at the pace of a 3-minute blitz game than a 5-minute blitz game. 2.5 minutes for 31 moves is not really a 5-minute blitz pace. Nice game, David. Thank you for sharing it with me so I could share it with the Chess2Impress community. Well played. Tactically, the most interesting moment was when you took on e4 on the 9th move, and then we saw this refutation, this possible refutation with queen f3 check. A double attack, but it doesn't win a piece straight away, and that was quite nice. Other than that, it shows the importance of development. This position is after the 19th move, bishop takes e4. He has finished his development, his rook is going to swing over to the action, while white still has that bishop on c1 and that rook on a1 undeveloped. That's one of the reasons why this is an overwhelming better position for black. And David finished it off in nice style. Hope you enjoyed David's game. If you did, please give this video the thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess2Impress channel. Please leave a comment, I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you like this video, if you like this series of viewers games, then please share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. If you would like your game to be analyzed on Chess2Impress, then you can send it to me by email to classroomchess64@gmail.com. This is Rick for Chess2Impress. Thank you for watching.